Hello.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Can
I'm good. I think
can you
we
hear
were
me
having a little
properly?
trouble.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I
Okay, I think we
think
were
I
having
got little late because I was under the impression that I was going to get a mail request so that I can log in into
okay.
that, but I didn't know this anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm good. Busy with work.
Okay, great. So let
So yeah.
me introduce you to our viewers. So today
Yeah.
we have with us Mr. Ashish Kesurvala. He is the design principal for SAK in SAK Designs.
Mm.
And Mr. Ashish has been running this practice for over 25 years. His niche is luxury residences and also, I understand, weekend homes.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
graduated from Pune University in 1991 and practiced for about 5 years in an architectural firm and then came down to Ahmedabad to start his own firm. So thank you very much, Mr. Ashish, for joining us today.
Yeah. Yes. Nice uh, to be in this session. Thanks for inviting me. So to
Great.
share my thoughts, let's start. Yeah.
Let's start. So today's the topic is effective fenestration through improved designs and systems. And so
Yeah.
first we would like to take you take your views about something to do with fenestration and how it helps you in your designs and conceptualization of projects.
So fenestration, of course, it's a very important thing. I mean, it helps in all aspects, not only in terms of design, in terms of the spaces to get their own identity, and it is like from starting to end, like fenestration plays such a major role in our planning that if we don't ever kind of focus into that, the design can go haywire. So it is a very important aspect, and in the conceptual stage only we are kind of zeroing down on a lot of aspects of fenestration, that where we want, what is the scale, what is the proportion of the fenestration we want, and we try to get into the detail as we progress into the planning.
Okay, so anything that you can tell our viewers about climate responsive architecture?
uh, Climate responsive architecture from the fenestration perspective.
I think a little bit generally, and then probably we can talk from the
Okay.
context of fenestration.
Yeah, so climate responsive architecture is, of course, the very important thing at this point of time, because lately, due to a lot of you know changes happening all across the world, we need to attend to it a little more seriously. And if we do the architecture climate responsive, the overall usability is very, it improves a lot for the user if we design the thing from the perspective of climate. So we always design the architectural thing, all the bungalows or the so luxury homes we design from the major climatic perspective also, because every region has its own climatic challenges as well as the differences. So we have to attend to it so that the function of the residence we design really plays well. Otherwise, it will not work. If we don't design architecture as per the climate, I think it will be a big issue, or rather, it will create more problems for the user. And if we do that, if we, design the architecture from the climate perspective, we save a lot of energy, we save a lot of, uh, you know, unnecessary uh, issues which will happen afterwards if we don't attend to it. So I always tell people that yes, climate is very important and we need to do according to, design according to that. So very important, and we take certain precautions in terms of planning, in terms of material choice, in terms of execution, so that we can, be more climate responsive. Now, coming to fenestration, yes, I mean it's a major thing because glass is something such a tricky thing, fenestration, that it lets the light come in, but at the same time it let the heat also come in. Sound is an issue, and yet we want the light, we don't want the heat, and we have to be so careful in terms of planning, placing the fenestration that it becomes a challenge in itself. And if we don't focus on that, the user will suffer. So we always keep in mind, and thankfully now lately we have so many choices in fenestration in terms of glasses, in terms of the protective films and BGUs and TGUs, and so performance glasses. So that helps us a lot to get what we want yet manage within those climatic parameters.
Yes. So, I mean, in brief, probably a climate responsive architecture is important from the point of making the building energy efficient and
Always.
comfort and comfort the habitat probably that you are building. So, I mean, can you
Yes.
name a few factors which probably help the building to be more climate responsive? Example, the sun path, etc. I mean, I often keep on hearing this from architects, but probably I don't have a hang of all these things so well. So probably it will be good to hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, so climate is basically the two things, is the sun and the
Mhm.
temperature and the weather outside. So
Correct.
how do you handle that? Because
Mm-hmm.
as a user
Mm-hmm.
you are inside, and how do you handle? So we don't want we want good daylight so that we don't have to use artificial light during the
Artificial
day.
lighting. Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
we have to keep the openings accordingly so that no corner in the house is ever dark. That is one.
Correct.
At the same time, we also have to make sure that there is no direct sunlight coming in as far as possible in certain spaces or certain time, mainly
Mm-hmm.
during the afternoon hours, like between 10 to evening 3 or 4, where it is a little drastic. The harshness of the sun is a little too harsh. So you have to make sure that in that time zone or that path, sun path, it doesn't enter the building with so much of intensity. We rather have a indirect light coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So we plan accordingly the opening location according to that, what side they are facing, how they are, letting the light coming, how they are letting the sun, keeping the sun rays away. So that we have to, all the time, we have to keep planning all the time. And then the sound and the weather, basically, the heat, you have a hotter climate outside and you want to keep the inside cool. So you have to have those DGUs and TGUs, which at least reduces certain amount of heat transfer inside. And plus you use those protective films or rather performance glasses so that you can keep the direct sun rays also, and keeping those radiation out, basically infrared's a little bit less, so the greenhouse effect doesn't happen inside the house. So we actually keep those two things in mind, the how to get the light inside without getting the heat inside, mostly for the majority of the plains. For the mountains, of course, it is the reverse. We want
Reverse.
the heat
Yes.
inside, so then we have to put the windows or the fenestration in certain location to get the maximum heat gains inside, but which is only for the mountains or for the high altitude zones, basically.
Okay. Great. So, do the building materials and openings in a building also affect the longevity of the buildings? I mean, the openings, as in for fenestration. So, do these also help in the longevity of the building over a period of time?
The opening number of openings, you mean to say?
Provide, yeah. I mean, let's say previously the houses were mostly with more brick and less window openings, and these days there are more openings. Do they also affect in the longevity of the structure over a longer period of time?
I don't think so. That is affecting anyone. in the longevity.
Okay.
Only thing is that what I feel is that if you have a good, previously it was like purely like you just have a wall, and just small opening and that's it.
Correct.
You're done.
Correct.
But then I think at that point of time the it wasn't the focus was never on making the internal environment comfortable or right or better or something like that. It was purely considered as like a room is there and that's it, ready and start using it.
Correct.
Now the things have changed so drastically that every space needs to be, you know, it has to be comfortable, it has to be proper, or it needs to create those nice vibes in terms of for the user.
I think the
So I
wall to
would
window ratio has increased probably.
yes, so that helps because the moment you connect from indoor to outdoor,
Mm.
you always enjoy any space where you are
Mm.
connecting
Mm.
through the fenestration indoor to outdoor.
Mm.
You love to be in that space. If you are
Mm.
if you are located between four dead walls, you will be dead anyways. So
Mm.
you need the openings and you need them in a good proportion. And for that only we have a challenge, that we have a climatic challenge. So how to handle that yet have the openings. So I would rather say that longevity is because of the space created by
Mm.
fenestration, they became more lively and more usable and people rather enjoy it more. So that's why it
Correct.
might become more longevely in terms of user friendly. And that's why people
Mm-hmm.
would rather go for that kind of space than anything else.
Okay. Let's move on to our next question. Now, what aspects of fenestration make it sustainable, effective, and efficient as per you?
Uh, Mainly the basically for the fenestration to have it uh, you mean to say sustainable, right? You want to make
Correct.
it
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I mean,
Of course, you. Uh, so
I would say
I would rather,
example.
yeah,
Example, I mean, from aluminum these days, there is a popularity, or let's say there are rounds about having a thermal break aluminum. Why? Because in that case, it makes the temperature inside and outside, separate. Example, aluminum is
separate.
a
Yeah,
conductor. Yeah, so
conductor. Yeah,
thermal break is something which makes the fenestration more effective. There is less condensation on the section, the heat transfer is less, etc.
yeah,
Now, when we talk about sustainability, we talk about using recycled aluminum. I mean, obviously, everything is recyclable when we talk about metal. But then these days, agencies like IGBC, Indian Green Building Council, and all that, if you go in for a rated project, they always recommend a use of recycled aluminum in windows, which imparts better, I would say, points to you as against, having recyclable aluminum. So, is there anything else that you think probably is doing the rounds in the industry wherein the buildings can be made more sustainable as well as more energy efficient and more effective?
I think sustainability is something purely. It's a very different matter for everyone. I would not
Mm-hmm.
compromise in terms of quality of the fenestration in the name of sustainability. If supposing
Mm-hmm.
I am getting a recycled aluminum windows, but if I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting a good quality, I would go for it. But if
Okay.
I'm not getting a good, just to earn the points, I would rather not do it. My thing
Correct.
is because for me, energy efficiency is more important. If I have to
Mm-hmm.
have a less consumption of energy in terms of cooling the environment inside or the light or something, so I need to rather have a good quality product for that. So I would sustainability is important, but not at the cost of the design
Energy
or the
efficiency, let's say.
quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
energy
I
is very
agree.
important. I would say that I rather have a good fenestration with, instead of DGU, I say okay, use TGU, and then you can
Correct.
reduce your temperature intake. You have those thermal break in the aluminiums. You have certain additional insulated material available inside. So use that. That is better. But I would, so that is what my focus is,
I
that I
agree.
rather you
Yeah.
have that in my space where I feel like okay, I have used a perfect product to at least make my energy consumption less. So I would
Correct.
focus more on reducing my energy consumption than just going sustainability just for the sake of making it sustainable. I would not do that. That is my,
Okay.
of course, that's my personal view. I
No,
Others may
definitely, I
have a
think
different view.
no, it definitely makes sense that ultimately we have to see what primarily comforts the resident as against the points that we may earn from uh, probably a system. It's like ISO. It's
Ah,
better to have a durable system rather than just having a stamp in terms of being ISO
exactly.
certified. Yeah, so
So
I'm with
that's
you on that. So
yes.
let's move on to the next question now. Based on your experience, what should the fenestration of the future look like? Or how is it that you would want them to be going forward as against what you have presently?
I would want them to go little more, mm, moving into a little uh, automation zone and
Okay.
getting that into a more 3D level of fenestration. That is like right now we are working only in the two dimension. Either it
Correct.
is horizontal, going up and down, or going horizontal and all.
Yeah.
I rather want a mechanization and automation involved to open out my openings in little more, dramatic manner, so that I
Hmm.
can, it helps me design things little more, you know, out of the
Basically,
segment.
like a parametric window opening.
Yeah, so it should become more interesting, the fenestration. Why
Hmm.
just, I know it has its own limitation, it has its own mechanical limitations. So, but you need to, now that we have so many possibilities, we can definitely try doing something.
No, one thing we are definitely looking at is that, these days even the curtains in premium residences are motorized.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, windows, sometimes the panels, I mean, we do something which is 18 feet high by
Hmm.
6 feet wide, and the shutter weight is approximately plus 500 kgs. There, customers definitely need a lot of effort to operate if it is a mechanically operated window.
Yeah.
So yes, I understand that even if a 10 feet high by 5 feet wide shutter is there, I mean, the weight is more than a normal human being's weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it boils down to the fittings and the accessories. But at the same time, yes, it would be great if it can be automated. And it can be also, I would say, integrated with the IP. I mean, IoT, let's say, from a phone, you can operate a
Yeah.
curtain as well as on the bed. You don't have to get down to open the windows. I think that's pretty interesting for us, which we are already working upon. There are solutions which are available, but
No,
they're very, very expensive because they are, designed in
it is.
Europe.
I know it
So
is
we are trying
expensive
to,
because it
yeah.
is
Yeah, so
patented.
we're trying to indigenize it. Let's see how much time do we take. Why? Because an Indian customer is someone who's very, very value for money conscious, and he would definitely not go on board. And we also don't want that one window takes away the budget of windows of the entire house.
No, but I
So
I
yeah.
have seen lately. I have seen something different. People are
Uh-huh.
willing to do something. They are willing. The clients are willing to go extra miles if they are getting
Hmm.
something really, really wonderful and something out of the box thinking. They are really
Correct.
supportive. Okay, so like
Okay,
once,
great.
like I was just thinking that you have those, you've seen those Star Treks and all those
Yeah.
serials, how the opening,
Mhm.
those shutters open or something like that. So
Correct,
once
correct.
I had a client's son, he said like I want my balcony doors to like open out like that, not just straight
Totally
like
open.
that. So I said, man, I
Right.
will have to work out some mechanical engineering for that, and I'll have to get those guys together to work for it. But I said, yeah, it is a good idea. We should do
Good
sometime,
idea.
at least to, we have to break that particular limitation and go a little further. Why can't
I
we?
think we'll always find people who want to experiment with a few things because residence is something which they really want to do something different. I mean, it's also a part of
Always.
uh, social assurance that people seek when they're building a house because that's one once in a lifetime opportunity where they
Exactly.
want to kind of showcase what
Yeah.
they want to do and where they want to live, how they want to live. Yeah, I agree.
And
So okay,
everybody has that thing of like it should be unique. So
yes.
we can on side you can develop that.
No, point well taken. Basically, we need to work on the uniqueness of the windows, and I think the effort towards uniqueness only leads to innovations and inventions for that matter. Otherwise, everyone would be comfortable just living a standard life in a standard way. So
Standard way.
yeah. So any last few words on the topic of the day? We've reached the end of the session on how probably I mean something that you would like to add on the topic of the day: effective fenestration through improved designs and systems.
Fenestration, I would just want to always, like, I have been working since last 20-25 years now on the private residences. So my basic focus
Mm-hmm.
is the private luxury residences only. And I've realized that yes, we have come very far from what it used to be 20-25 years back. We have a lot of choices now, better options now. But I would always say that fenestration is something is so important, and the proportion and the scale of it, how you use it in any building, will make the personality of the building change drastically.
Yeah.
The moment you think like just an opening is just an opening, it will be just an opening. But the
Correct.
moment you think this opening is very important opening, and every opening in the house is important, not only from inside, from outside as well. And it
Exactly.
needs to be really worked on in terms of its
Yeah.
scale, how you want to, you know, divide it, or how you want to compose certain proportions, in the overall building. So if you see any international building today, they work a lot in terms of designing the fenestration or the glass aspect in such a way
Correct.
that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that becomes a skin itself of the building,
Correct.
and that is giving the identity to the building. And the funny thing is, the thing which is not visible is giving the identity to the building.
Correct.
So you don't realize that how important it is till you see the final product. So it is the most important thing, and I always feel that uh, this particular aspect should be separately taught in the architecture college. It is
Okay. Great.
something so important, that why it is so important to design this in a efficient manner for the overall outlook of the building to have a certain standard, a certain
Mm.
uniqueness. So this is something we need to work on a lot, and it can be
Mm.
done. So everybody needs to keep in mind that this is very important. People just focus on the walls and columns
Correct.
and all that, but that's not it. You need to
Mm-hmm.
equally give, or rather sometimes give more focus on the overall, not only by just scale, like okay, I have like 20 feet by 15 feet opening and I have just two shutters and all that is
Mm-hmm.
fine. You need to go a little further, that overall proportion how it looks, that
Yeah.
you
I mean,
need
to
to
kind
work
of balance the enhancement by way of light,
light.
ventilation,
Yes.
as well as thermal insulation and noise insulation. I understand.
Yeah,
Yes,
with all those
it's a
points
proper
in mind,
balance.
yes.
Yeah, it's a proper balance between multiple factors which the nature can actually lend or can be part of disturbance as well. So there
Disturbance
has to
also,
be a
yeah.
proper balance. Yeah.
So we
Right.
want it, yet it has its own troubles also, but yet we
Yes.
want to do that, even if we
Correct.
face
Correct.
the issues. So
I,
it needs to be worked on.
totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah. So, okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. It
Okay.
was great having you with us today, and we would love to have you in Chandigarh anytime, and we would make you visit all the Lika Bhuzia buildings here if you're interested.
Sure.
And we
Definitely.
would love to meet you whenever we are visiting Ahmedabad next.
Okay.
Thank you
Definitely.
very much
See
for
you.
being
Look
with us
forward to it.
today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.